Hi everyone, today we'll be talking to you about the two articles called Natural Capitalism and the Greening of Junkspace. Do bear with us and follow through our video. In the article Natural Capitalism by Hawken, the author studies green development consisting of resource efficiency, environment consciousness and wellness while still being profitable. Examples such as the ING Bank building in Amsterdam, the village homes in Davis, California and the Inn of the Ensazi showcase the positive externality when the economic and environment go hand in hand. In conventional buildings, design is often broken up in different stages and handled accordingly, often leading to an incoherent final scheme, failing to complement each other. In the project ING Bank in Amsterdam, green building incorporate integrative design where different specialties come together to effectively cut resources consumption and all participants have to understand every detail of the project. For example, mechanical engineer have to understand artwork that is not his specialties. This integration has made the building comfortable, beautiful and cost effective. And of course, worker works happily. The possibilities are endless where the ideals of the commercialists and the environmentalists are in line. The intelligent use of passive design with the selective technology brought about cost-saving benefit through cutting of energy consumption and also in improvement in productivity. Engineers are inclined to continue designing efficiently as they are not liable for future operating costs. Passive design is not just about saving money and preventing pollution, but having their fees cut off the cost of the project. Architects and engineers have even less incentive to design efficiently. Energy saving in buildings is similar to weight saving in hypercars. It is essentially the balancing of the different functions and costs to maximize its performance. In America, the lack of credit or financial incentive for energy efficient building could be one of the main factors behind the lackluster effort to green new buildings. The lack of foresight is partly the reason for our heavy reliance on technology. Many fail to see the long-term savings and benefit of green building just because the cost of construction is expensive. The business values good management, but they fail to see how good working environment stimulate productivity and in turn economic growth. Once consumers experience the real comfort in a space, they want it more. This creates green marketing as a selling point in future buildings. However, this creates market value that real estate designer and consumer are fighting for. Buildings' energy efficiency becomes the important factor to the profit of the building. By doing so, every developer and designer will be trying to design green buildings. This speeds up sustainable awareness, but the design for going green becomes stagnation. Take Singapore for example. From garden in the city to now city in the garden. Does Singaporean developers or designers really understand the importance of going green? Green Mark awards given out by the Building Construction Authority is Green Mark award given out by the Building Construction Authority is given out to developers. The firm will gain a positive corporate image which in turn attract tenants. More importantly, the award could mean a higher resale value of buildings since its fittings are made to be sustainable and lasting. As cited from the text, page 94, a carefully designed building will use not just its orientation and form, but also its thermal mass, shading, surface finishes, landscaping and other architectural elements to optimize its passive solar heat gains and passive cooling. Technology can be used to help with the innovation of architectural elements, examples such as daylighting, improved insulation and electricity. Advanced light sources eliminate flicker, glare and save energy. Despite of the cost, the liquid crystal screen are the best choice as it is ergonomically designed and efficient office equipment. It is more energy efficient, its low electrical power consumption enables it to use in battery powered electronic equipment. Super window is being widely used today as 2 or 3 invisible thin coating block the flow of heat and noise. It keeps people warm in the winter and cool in the summer. This super window costs 10 to 15% more than double glazed window, but it can insulate 4.5 times better. However, aerogel glazing is even better than this super window as it is It is lighter and can insulate even more times than the super window. Photovoltaic, which can build into capture electricity, it replaces normal parts of the building shell and produce electricity with daylight. Photovoltaic produce alternating current power comes from the wall of higher quality yet without any pollution. This saves 99 to 100% in heating energy. Therefore, technology can be helped with this innovation by improving the level of comfort, beauty and performance, making this option to be profitably retrofitted. In this case, construction costs unchanged, maintenance cut down, and it saves energy by half the cost. This is where economic and environmental interests become equal. As cited from the reading, green design will slowly take all the existing structure instead of deposing it. Why not recycle them and revalue to generate income? One example to relate to recycling of land and material is this project, Women's Opportunity Center built in Africa. This mini village transformed urban subsistence farming with an architectural agenda to create economic opportunity, rebuild social infrastructure and restore African heritage. The design draws on the delicacy of this vernacular construction method with rounded perforated brick walls that allow for passive cooling and solar shading while maintaining a sense of privacy. These bricks were made on site by Center Future User. In crafting the 450,000 clay bricks needed for construction, using material found on site and a new, more durable manual press method we adapted from local building techniques. The project includes a demonstration farm that helps women produce and market their own goods. Certainly, this is an example of how social, economic and environmental interests of green design are equal. The notion of natural capitalism can only be successful if both economic and environmental interests are equal, but in many cases, economic interests are always valued higher. Therefore, the idea of sustainability becomes a tool for marketing and business. Hijacking sustainability.
Okay, so now I'll actually move on to the next article called The Greening of Junkspace. So basically, this whole article talks about how sustainability has turned into a cultural hegemonic, a socially and environmentally consciousness where investment and consumption patterns are prompting multinational corporations to develop a new image of corporate social responsibility. The term called the eco-branding has become a new strain of branding which is empowered by the emerging culture of activist investment. At first thought, we may think that sustainability culture can change the way our corporate world does business, but truth is, activist investment does not necessarily change the use of global marketplace. This is so because of the theory called greenwashing. In the article, it is defined as the phenomenon of socially and environmentally destructive corporations attempting to preserve and expand their market of power by posing as friends of the earth. So this means that more of the time and money is actually spent advertising the company being green than when it actually is spent on environmentally sound practices. Another point that is emphasized in the article is this equation. When sustainability culture goes corporate, it becomes another branding strategy. Branding can basically be applied to anything in this world. A brand is defined as the name, term, design, symbol, and any other feature that identifies one seller's good or service as distinct from those of other sellers. So I think Stuckitech is a term that we are all familiar with. Corporations have continued to understand the value of bringing in Stuckitechs to design their key buildings. For instance, the manufacturing company Vitra is well known for the works of notable architects that made up its premises in Germany. The fashion house Prada for commissioning Rem Koolhaas to design their flagship store in New York. Generally, buildings done by these architects are able to rouse up quite a bit of commotion in the media. It gives a lot of attention to the architects themselves and more importantly the corporations who are the primary parties. If you look at architects, they've actually been commodified. One of the craziest things that branding has done to us is that it has changed the values in the things we see. The usefulness of a product is not as important as the image or association that the product conjures up in our mind. Most of the times, we pay for the brand and not for the product itself. Our mind is shaped in a way that anything that is branded is definitely good. Buchanan explains that Junkspace is the residue of capitalism, a space that has been reduced to mass manufactured good. In this era where branding comes into play, everything seems to have been boiled down to being meaningless. With more and more megastore governing the movement through the cities, architecture and urbanism are getting more exposed to mere coordination of flow. One good example mentioned in the article would be the Walmart. Even though they are inspired to follow the three goals: 1. Be supplied 100% by renewable energy, 2. Create zero waste, and lastly, sell products that sustain resources and the environment. There are also a series of contradictions to an eco-Walmart. First, the land use pattern of the store creates urban sprawl. Second, vast amount of land is allocated for parking. And third, Walmart business model has also resulted hundreds of vacant stores, which they merely introduce the science of environmental technology into big box spaces that are unattractive to buyers. The adverse effect imposed on the environment is huge. When store closes and relocate, they do not just leave the building vacant, but also large areas of asphalt. I came across this concept on the internet, and I thought it somehow reflected similar concerns and ideas Rakowitz has. What he did was to transform parking lots such as those in Walmart and meter site into visible urban camping grounds. So designer Anna and Raul are behind this project called the Capsula Mundi, a project that is offering a revolutionary alternative to the way we bury our dead. Instead of being placed in the coffins, the deceased body is instead put into a biodegradable burial capsule with a tree seed planted on top. Instead of having to chop down trees to make coffin, having to clear the forest to place thousands of tombstones, why don't we leave the trees alone and help plant more of these trees that do not create adverse impact on our environment? I think this is one interesting way to think of how, by changing our ritual, could help sustain lives on planet, find its added value and not create unnecessary waste. Today, everything is melting into shopping. It has somehow become a defining activity of public life. Junkspace is not only the effect of modernization, but also capitalist consumption. Sustainability culture is a growing phenomenon that is constructive. However, many a times, corporations may take the opportunity to exploit and use eco-branding as a tool to pitch themselves in the market, without actually doing what it preach of being a green corporation. What we can say is that what we buy is the feeling of power that an eco-brand image gives us, and not the object itself. While sustainability culture has gone mainstream, it runs the risk of just being there for the sake of its existence. Sustainability culture will start to diminish in the delirious landscape of corporate capitalism and green-oriented commodity culture. In my opinion, because of the way capitalism is, we are modeled to think that economic development is a measurement of progression. And because of that, we have everything being commodified along the line of sustainability, just so that we can feed upon the public's image of what ecological modernization is. Question is, are we really projecting the true intention of sustainability culture, or are we just parasiting, creating a deception just so we can have monetary gain throughout the process? So here are the two questions we have for you. Do you think eco-branding produces passive landscape of consumption, or active and effective landscape conducive to sustainable way of life? And is there any buildings in Singapore that fits the criteria of natural capitalism?